Grab your coffee, mama. It's time for coffee, clients, and nap time. I'm Sarah Marie, and this is your guide to building a business that works for you and your family. Here, we'll dive into creating a thriving business that lets you be the hands-on parent you want while designing the life you've always dreamed of. So if you're ready to balance business success with family life and make it all work in a way that feels right for you, then let's dive in. Hey mamas, and welcome back to Coffee, Clients, and Nap Time. I'm Sarah Marie, and today I'm talking about something that I just know so many of us feel. And it's that tension between being grateful for what we have, but still wanting more income, more space in your day, more support, more identity outside of being just mum, more from your business, just more. And the guilt that comes with that wanting. Because you look at your life and think, I should be so grateful. I have so much. So many other people have it harder. Who am I to want more? But I need to be completely honest with you. I have felt this guilt my entire entrepreneurial journey. Since I had my first child and I started building my second business, I have been navigating this exact tension. Wanting more while feeling like I should just be satisfied with what I have. More than being a mum, more income, the desire to grow my business. All of it wrapped in this layer of, but I should be grateful. And what I've learned and what I want to share with you today is that wanting more isn't about not being grateful. It's about awareness. It's not greed. It's not dissatisfaction. And it's not that it's never going to be enough. It's recognizing that this works, but it's no longer fully aligned. So today I'm exploring why wanting more doesn't make you ungrateful, how gratitude and ambition can coexist, and what that wanting is actually trying to tell you. I'm so excited for this one because this is such a core, deep experience of mine. So to begin us off, I want to start by naming the exact tension that goes on under the surface. When you feel this, you're sitting with a very specific conflict. It's, I should be grateful for what I have. So why do I still want more? And underneath that question is all the specific things that you actually want more of. More income. Not because you're materialistic, but because you want security. You want to give your kids experiences that you didn't have. You want the freedom to make choices without financial stress dictating every single decision. You want more space, not because you don't love your kids, but because you're depleted. You need room to think, to create, to just exist for 5 minutes without someone needing you. You want to reclaim some of that sense of yourself that isn't defined entirely by your caregiving role of being mum. You want more support, not because you're incapable, but because you're exhausted from carrying everything. You want a partner who does half the mental load without being asked to. You want help without having to justify why you need it. You want to stop being the default parent for absolutely everything. You want more identity outside of being mum. Not because motherhood isn't meaningful, but because you are a whole person. You have interests and ambitions and dreams that existed before kids, and they still exist now. You just want to be seen as more than someone else's mother. You want more from your business, not because what you've built isn't good enough, but because you can see what it could become. You know that you're capable of more. You're ready for the challenge and you want to grow. All of these wants are so valid. All of them are reasonable. And all of them come with that side of guilt attached. Because somewhere along the way, you've absorbed the message that good mothers don't want more, that gratitude means being satisfied with what you've got, and that wanting anything beyond what you already have is ungrateful, selfish, or greedy. So you suppress it. You push it down. You tell yourself, I should just be grateful, and you try to make the wanting go away. But it doesn't go away. It just sits there, creating this constant low-level tension that you carry everywhere. This feeling of something's not quite right, but I'm not allowed to want it to be any different. And that tension, that's what I want to unpack with you today. Because I want to release you from it and I don't want you to have to carry it anymore. Before we can work through this guilt, though, we need to understand where it's coming from. Because guilt doesn't just appear out of nowhere. And mums are specifically deliberately conditioned against wanting more. For most of us, from the very moment you become a mother, the messaging is relentless and clear. Be grateful. Don't ask for too much. Put yourself last. Don't disrupt what's working within your life. Accept what you're given. Don't make waves. Just be content. Society tells us that good mothers are selfless, that good mothers find complete fulfillment in their children, that good mothers don't prioritize their own ambitions or their own desires, that good mothers certainly don't put their business growth ahead of being present. So when you do want more time for yourself, more income, more from your career, more identity beyond your motherhood, it feels like you're failing. Like you're doing motherhood wrong by not being completely satisfied with just being a mum. And the external voices reinforce this constantly. Let me show you what I mean. When you mention wanting to grow your business, other mums might say, you should just enjoy this time while they're little. They grow up so fast, soon you'll wish you had this time back. Translation is, wanting to work more means you don't appreciate your children enough, right? Then, when you talk about wanting more income, family might say, aren't you grateful for what you already have? Some people would love to be in your position. You have a healthy family, a roof over your head, and food on the table. What more could you even need? Which translates to, wanting financial growth means you're greedy and unappreciative. And then, when you express wanting more support from your partner, society says, you should be so grateful that your partner helps at all. Most men don't. At least he does something. You are so lucky. Which translates to, wanting a true partnership means you're demanding and ungrateful. And all these voices, some well-meaning and some not, tell you the same thing. Wanting more is wrong. You should be satisfied, you should be grateful, and you should stop reaching for more. And here's the really insidious part about all of this. You then internalize those voices. They become the voice in your own head. So even when no one else is saying it, you're there telling yourself that you're being ungrateful for wanting more. And you've absorbed that belief as a mother, that you're supposed to be content with what you have, that wanting more of anything is somehow a moral failing. But here's what I really want you to understand. This is conditioning. It is not your truth, and you get to choose to reject it. I want to share with you the reframe that changed everything for me around this, and I really hope it does the same for you. Gratitude and ambition are not opposites. They can coexist, and they should coexist. You can love your life and still want it to be different. You can be proud of what you've built and be ready to build more. You can be so deeply grateful for your kids and still want an identity that goes beyond motherhood. You can appreciate your current income and still want to earn more. You can be thankful for what you have and simultaneously pursue what it is that you want. These things are not in conflict. The conflict only exists when we believe they can't both be true. When we think we have to choose between being grateful or being ambitious. But we don't. Let me break it down a little bit further. Gratitude is about acknowledging what is. It's recognizing the good in your current reality. It's appreciation for what you have right now. Ambition, however, is about pursuing what could be. It's recognizing potential and possibility. It's the drive to create, grow, evolve, and expand. Both are valid. Both are actually healthy. And both can coexist simultaneously in the same person. In fact, I would argue that the healthiest, most sustainable version of ambition comes from a foundation of gratitude. Because when you're grateful for what you have, You're not chasing more from a place of lack or inadequacy or trying to prove your worth. You're pursuing more from a place of abundance and possibility, from I love what I've created and I'm excited to see what else I can create, rather than what I have isn't enough to make me worthy. And there's a massive difference between I'm grateful for this business I've built and I'm excited to grow it versus this business just isn't enough and I need more to prove my worth. There's a difference between I love my kids and I also need time for myself versus my kids are draining me. I need to escape from them. There's a difference between I appreciate what I've achieved and I'm ready for the next level versus what I have just isn't good enough and I'll never be satisfied. The wanting comes from a different place, not from dissatisfaction, but from growth, not from ingratitude, but from recognizing your own expansion, and not from never being enough, but from knowing that you are capable of more. So you don't have to choose between gratitude and ambition. You don't have to suppress your wanting to prove that you're grateful. You can hold both, gratitude for what it is and the desire for what is next. And that doesn't make you ungrateful. Let me now reframe what's actually happening when you want more. When you want more, you're not rejecting your current life. You're simply outgrowing a version of it. And there's a huge difference between those two things. Rejection says, this is wrong. It was never good enough. I made a mistake. I need to get rid of this. Outgrowing it says, this was right for that season. It served me so well, and now I'm ready for what's next. Think about it this way. When your toddler outgrows their clothes, you don't think, oh, those clothes were bad, or God, I made a mistake buying those. You think, okay, they've grown. Their body has changed. They need something different now. You don't shame them for outgrowing their shoes. You don't tell them that they should be grateful for the shoes that they have and to stop growing. You recognize that growth requires change. And yes, the same is true for you. When you outgrow a version of your life, a business model, an income level, a way of structuring your days, or even an identity you've held, it doesn't mean that version was wrong. It simply means you've outgrown it. You've changed, and you need something different now. Maybe the business model you started with no longer fits you. You're not rejecting what you built. You recognize that your circumstances have changed and you simply need a different structure. Maybe the income that felt abundant 5 years ago just doesn't stretch as far now. Your kids are older, costs have increased, your needs have evolved too. You're not being greedy, you're responding to that changed reality. Maybe the identity of mum with a side hustle doesn't fit you anymore because you've grown into business owner who also happens to be a mum. You're not abandoning motherhood. You're integrating both identities differently as you've evolved. Maybe the offer you created 3 years ago just doesn't light you up anymore. You've learnt more. You've developed new skills and your expertise has deepened. You're not being flaky. You're honouring your professional growth. This is an identity evolution. And not only is it normal, it's necessary. Because when you stay in that version of your life that you've outgrown, you create friction, constant, exhausting friction for yourself. You feel constrained, like you're trying to fit into clothes that are 3 sizes too small. You feel resentful of all the things you used to love because they just don't fit who you are anymore. You feel stuck, frustrated, and like you're constantly pushing against something, but you just can't name what it is. That friction is your signal. It's not telling you that you're ungrateful. It's telling you that you've outgrown this version and you are so ready for the next one. So wanting more is not about rejecting what you have. It's about honoring your growth and creating space for who it is that you're becoming. And that is not something to ever feel guilty about. In fact, I really want you to think about celebrating that. Alrighty, let's get a little bit deeper and let's get specific about how this guilt around wanting more shows up in your business. I see these patterns constantly, and I really want you to recognize them if you were caught in any of them. Imagine this. Maybe you don't need to imagine, but You don't raise your prices, even though you're undercharging and you know it, even though you've gained experience and your results have improved, even though your expenses have increased and you're barely breaking even. Instead, you tell yourself, I should be grateful people are paying me at all. This economy is tough. My clients can't afford more, so who am I to charge premium prices? But what's really happening is you feel guilty for wanting more income. So you cap yourself. You undervalue your work and you stay financially stuck because increasing your prices feels ungrateful. Or you don't change your offers, even though they're draining you, even though you've outgrown them, even though you can now see a better way to serve your clients that would be more aligned and more profitable. You tell yourself, this is working, money is coming in, I should be grateful this is bringing in income. I shouldn't mess with what's working. What if I change it and it all falls apart? But what's really happening is you're staying in this is fine mentality, when what you actually want is this is amazing. You're settling for functional when you're capable of exceptional. And the guilt convinces you that wanting more than fine is just ungrateful. Maybe if you don't ask for support, such as hiring help, outsourcing tasks, getting regular childcare for your work hours, because you think you should be able to do it all yourself. You tell yourself, other people manage without help. I should be grateful I can work from home at all. Hiring someone feels indulgent. I should just work harder. But what's really happening is you're burning out trying to prove that you don't need help. You're working inefficiently because you're doing everything, including tasks that aren't in your zone of genius. And the guilt tells you that wanting support means you're weak or ungrateful for the opportunity to be able to work at all. Or maybe you don't scale your business, even though you want to, even though you have the skills and the demand, even though you can clearly see the path forward. You tell yourself, I'm already doing well compared to where I started. I should be satisfied with this level. Wanting more feels greedy. What if scaling means I can't be present for my kids anymore? But what's really happening is you're just capping your own potential. You're staying small, not because small is what you genuinely want, but because you feel guilty for wanting big. And the guilt convinces you that ambition and good motherhood can't coexist. See the patterns? In every single one of these scenarios, you are capable of more. You want more. And more is available to you. But you're stuck because the guilt tells you that wanting it makes you ungrateful. But what's really going on here is that this isn't actually gratitude. This is guilt masquerading around as gratitude. Real gratitude doesn't require you to stay stuck. Real gratitude doesn't demand you undercharge or overwork or stay small. Real gratitude says, I'm grateful for what I've built and I'm so ready to build more. Real gratitude is abundant. It celebrates growth. It recognizes that you can appreciate where you are and simultaneously pursue where it is that you're going. So if you're holding back in your business because you feel guilty for wanting more, be it more income, more support, more growth, or even more alignment, that is not gratitude protecting you. That is fear keeping you small, and you get to choose differently now. When I reflect back on all my years where I've felt this wanting, here's what I've learned. It is information. It's valuable, important information. And when you stop fighting it and start listening to it, it tells you something that you really need to hear. I don't let the guilt or shame of wanting more make me feel bad anymore. Instead, I acknowledge the feeling and I dig a little deeper. I ask myself, what's actually out of alignment here? Or what opportunity is presenting itself that has me wanting more? Because the wanting is rarely a surface thing. It's usually about something deeper and something more fundamental. When you want more income, what you might actually want is more security, or more freedom, or the ability to make choices without financial stress dictating every decision, or the capacity to be generous with the people and causes that you care about. The money is the vehicle, but what you're really craving is what the money represents: safety, choice, possibility, and impact. When you want more time, what you might actually want is the space to think without interruption, or rest that actually restores you, or the freedom to pursue interests that light you up and have nothing to do with productivity. The time is the vehicle, but what you're really craving is autonomy over your own life, the chance to remember who you were outside of being needed by others. When you want more support, what you might actually be wanting is a true partnership, or recognition for the invisible work that you do, or to stop being the only one who remembers everything and manages everyone. The support is the vehicle, but what you're really craving is to share the load, to be seen, and to stop carrying everything alone. When you want more from your business, what you might actually want is challenge or growth, or to see what you're truly capable of when you stop holding yourself back. The business growth is the vehicle, but what you're really craving is expansion, the chance to step into your full potential, and the satisfaction of building something meaningful. So, instead of suppressing the wanting, I urge you to get curious about it. Don't shame it, don't push it down, but ask it questions. What is this really about? What need is underneath this desire? What would having this thing give me that I don't currently have? And what am I actually craving? And then, and this is the most important, check where that wanting is coming from. Because sometimes the wanting is coming from ego, from comparison, from trying to prove something to someone, from chasing external validation or status, or even the appearance of success. But more often, and so much more often, the wanting is coming from alignment, from recognizing that something in your current reality just doesn't fit who you are anymore, from seeing a version of yourself or your business that feels more true, and from knowing deep, deep down that you're capable of more and you're being called towards it. So how do you tell the difference? The best way I have to explain it is that ego-driven wanting feels anxious. It's tight, it's urgent, it's I need this to prove I'm enough. It's often comparison-based, and it's focused on how things look from the outside. Whereas alignment-driven wanting feels magnetic and expansive. It feels true. I'm drawn to this because it feels so right. It's internally referenced, and it's focused on how things feel from the inside. Ego-driven wanting compares. She has that, so I should too. Or if I don't achieve this, I'm falling behind. Alignment-driven wanting expands you. This would allow me to serve at a higher level. Or this feels like the next natural step in my growth. Ego-driven wanting says, I should want this. It's driven by an external expectation or perceived obligations. Alignment-driven says, I want to do this. And it's driven by internal truth and genuine desire. So when the wanting comes up, I want you to pause and check in with yourself. Feel into it and think, is this about proving something to someone else? Or is it about honoring what I'm genuinely being pulled towards right now? If it's the former, you might need to dig a little deeper and ask why you're seeking external validation right now. What would it give you to prove yourself? What are you really after? But if it's the latter, and if this wanting is coming from alignment, then it's your internal guidance system speaking. That's your intuition, your wisdom, your truth telling you that this is the next step. This is where growth lies. This is what alignment looks like for you right now. And when you recognize that the wanting is alignment-based, the guilt starts to dissolve because you're obviously not being greedy and you're not being ungrateful. You're listening to your own inner knowing. And that's one of the most important things that you can do. Before I wrap up, I want to share a little about how I actually navigate this tension in real time, in real life, because it's not about eliminating the guilt entirely. It's simply about learning to work with it instead of being controlled by it. When I feel that familiar guilt creep in, the I should be grateful, who am I to want more? I don't try to suppress it anymore. I don't shame myself for feeling guilty. I simply just acknowledge it. Okay, I see you, guilt, but what are you trying to protect me from? Because guilt is usually trying to protect us from something, maybe from judgment, from risk, from being seen as greedy or selfish or ungrateful, from disrupting what's working, from wanting too much and then being disappointed. So I now let the guilt tell me what it's worried about. And then I ask myself a different question. Is staying safe worth staying stuck? And the answer for me every time is no. I'd rather risk judgment and pursue that alignment than stay small and avoid criticism. I'd rather risk failure and go after growth than stay stuck to maintain comfort. I'd rather be honest about wanting more than pretend I'm satisfied when I'm not. So then I sit with the wanting and I get curious about it. I ask, what is this really about? What's out of alignment right now for me? And what opportunity is trying to present itself? And then finally I check, does this wanting feel like ego or is it alignment? Am I being pulled towards this because I'm comparing myself to someone else and feeling less than? Or am I being pulled towards this because it genuinely feels like my next level of growth? And if it's in alignment, if this wanting is coming from a place of genuine growth and truth, then I move towards it, even if it's uncomfortable, even if the guilt is still there whispering, but you should be grateful for what you have. Because I trust now that wanting more doesn't make me ungrateful. It makes me someone who's committed to my own growth, to alignment, and to becoming. This is how I've grown my business over the years. This is how I've raised my prices even when it felt scary. This is how I've changed my offers when they stopped serving me. This is how I've hired support even when it felt like I should be able to do it all myself. And this is how I've said yes and pursued opportunities that terrified me. Not by eliminating the guilt, not by never feeling the guilt, but by recognizing it for what it is, the conditioning, not the truth, and choosing to honor my wanting anyway. And the more that I honor the wanting, the less guilty I feel about it. Because I prove to myself over and over that I can be grateful and ambitious at the same time. That wanting more doesn't diminish my appreciation for all the wonderful things that I have. And that growth and gratitude are partners, not opponents. So now when that wanting comes, I don't fight it. I listen to it, I trust it, and I let it guide me towards my next level of alignment. And really that has changed everything. Before I end out this episode, I want to say something to you which might be a little raw, but I really need to be clear and direct about this. You don't need permission to want more. Not from me, not from your partner, not from your family, not from other mums, not from society, not from anyone. But I do know how powerful it can be to hear someone say it to you anyway. So here it is. You're allowed to be grateful for your life and still want more income. Both can be true. Both are true. You're allowed to love your kids deeply and still want identity and purpose beyond motherhood. Both can be true. Both are true. You're allowed to be proud of what you've built and still want to build more, scale higher, and reach further. Both can be true. Both are true. You're allowed to appreciate your current reality and simultaneously pursue the next version of it. Both can be true. Both are true. You are allowed to outgrow seasons, business models, income levels, and identities. Growth is not betrayal. Evolution is not a rejection of what you have. That guilt you're feeling, that persistent voice telling you that you should be satisfied, that wanting more makes you ungrateful, that is not the truth. That is your conditioning. That's all the external voices you've absorbed over the years of being told that good mothers don't want, don't ask, and don't reach for more. But you do not have to believe those voices anymore. You can choose right now to believe something different. You can choose to believe that wanting more is healthy, that growth is natural, that outgrowing a version of your life is not just okay, it's necessary for your own well-being and your evolution. You can choose right now to believe that gratitude and ambition coexist beautifully, that they strengthen each other, that you can hold both without conflict, without guilt, and without having to choose between the two. You can choose to believe that your wanting is information, not a failure on your behalf. That when it's coming from alignment and not comparison or ego, but genuine internal truth, it's guiding you towards that next level of growth. So if you're sitting in that tension right now, grateful for what you have, but wanting more and feeling guilty for that wanting, I want you to know that that does not make you ungrateful. That makes you aware. That makes you honest. And it makes you someone who's ready to grow and evolve and ready to step into that next version of yourself and your business and your beautiful life. And it's not something to suppress or to shame. It's something to really honor and appreciate. It's something to trust. And it's something you definitely should follow. So if this episode resonated with you, I want you to send me a DM at balancedbizmama on Instagram and tell me, what do you want more of right now? Not what you think you should want, but what do you actually want more of? And if you're wanting support navigating topics like this, or even the tension between gratitude and ambition, building a business that honors both, I implore you to come join us in the Balanced Biz Mama Circle. We're a group of mums all learning how to want more without guilt, how to hold gratitude and ambition at the same time, and how to trust our wanting as the guidance it actually is. So remember, Mama, wanting more does not make you ungrateful. It simply makes you aware, it makes you honest, and it makes you someone who's committed to growth and alignment and truth. Gratitude and ambition can coexist. You can love your life deeply and still want it to evolve. You can be proud of what you've built and be so ready to build more. You can appreciate what you are and simultaneously pursue where it is that you're going. So stop suppressing the wanting. Get curious about it. Ask what it's trying to tell you. Check whether it's coming from ego or whether it's from alignment. And of course, if it's alignment, it's your internal wisdom calling you forward. So honor it, trust it, and follow it. Because you are not rejecting what it is you have right now. You're on a journey of outgrowing that version of your life. You're evolving, you're moving, and that's not just okay. It's exactly what you're meant to be doing right now. So until next time, honor your wanting, trust the alignment, and remember, you've got this. Thanks for joining me on Coffee, Clients, and Nap Time. If you've enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with another mum who's ready to build their dream life. You can also join our Facebook page or Instagram to stay connected every day of the week. The link is in the show notes. Just remember, you've got this, and I'm here to help every step of the way.